It seemed to be a lot of yes, no sort of responses without a whole lot of explanation. I do think it's dangerous for President Biden to speak extemporaneously on foreign policy because so often things are said that don't take into account the history of the interactions between the countries, nor do they take into account exactly what our policy is. So it's no small thing to, on the spur, on the off the cuff, to be changing longstanding policy between us and China and us and Taiwan. So, like I say, I think it's risky. I think he should have either teleprompter notes or some strong notes, or say, I'll get back to you after I consult with my staff. That's embarrassing, but it's even more embarrassing what we're seeing on the world stage.
Yeah, just so people know, back in 1979, Jimmy Carter essentially changed focus in the UN from Taiwan to the People's Republic of China. So that's mainland China. But we essentially guaranteed Taiwan that we would defend them, but we don't have a treaty. We don't have an Article 5 like we do in NATO. So it's that strategic ambiguity that we probably would defend them, but we don't state it and offend China, mainland China, in doing so. What is your stance on that? Do you believe that's the right position? And do you think America should commit troops or military commitments in some way if China were to attack?
I think the less said about it, the better, actually. I think that the response of the world to Russia going into a part of the world that they consider to be part of their country at one time, Ukraine, I think the response of the world is to make them a pariah and to have such an embargo that they're going to feel it economically. If they don't now, they will feel it sometime. I think there are lessons to be learned from that for any country that decides to be aggressive towards another country or militarily try to take over another country. But I think the less said about the specifics of it, the better, because it's a confusing and complicated dance, frankly. There's just not an easy way to say exactly what this is or isn't, other than what's been written down already from the 70s. Some of it began with the opening to China with Nixon. Some of it was codified under Carter. But there hasn't been a great rush to modify that or change that or overcome that in some way, because there has not been an easy solution.
Right.
The hope has always been that both Taiwan and China will continue to be neighbors, peaceful neighbors, and enjoy the benefits of trade. Right now, that's true. I mean, Taiwan produces a lot of semiconductors for the world. We use them, but so does China as well. And it would not be in China's economic interest to disrupt that and destroy the great engine of production that is Taiwan. Mm-hmm. So I think there are a lot of things that need to be emphasized that what would or are still in the self-interest and the best interest of China.
Sure. All right, Senator, switching gears a bit now. You previously grilled DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas on his Disinformation Governance Board, saying you want him to have nothing to do with speech. Tell us more about that interaction and what this Disinformation Governance Board should or shouldn't be doing.
Well, I'm hoping it's gone, and gone for good. They say it's suspended, but whether or not it's lurking in hibernation and is going to come rearing back, we don't know for certain. But what we do know is that when the government decides what disinformation is, it often has a secondary motive, or a motive of trying to squelch basically the opposition. So right now in Russia, they have disinformation governance boards, and basically if you speak out against the war or say that there actually is a war, the government will come after you with some probably crazy woman like this woman they wanted to appoint in the Biden administration, and basically they have criminal penalties for disinformation. Now, the Biden administration would argue, oh, we're not going to do criminal penalties, this and that, but they have said that they would utilize big tech, and big tech would serve as sort of the police of speech, and the government would collect names, report them to them, and then big tech would respond. I worry about big tech becoming an arm of the government, and as much as I'm for leaving them alone for the most part, if they begin to engage as a police or an arm of the government, it's going to make them more and more open to the idea that perhaps their speech and their content and their ability to publish the content could likely come under a government review or regulation. But I'm hoping the Disinformation Governance Board is gone for good.
All right, Rand Paul, Senator from my home state of Kentucky. Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.